Well, welcome back to this third module in the course Why Have a Business? An Introduction to Generation Self-Employed. In this module, we're going to consider the question, what business structure is best for you? Our quotes for the week are as follows. First, from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 12 to 13, we read, I know that there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and to do good in one's lifetime. Moreover, that every man who eats and drinks sees good in all his labor. It is the gift of God. From Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, we read, Everyone enjoys doing the kind of work for which he is best suited. If the job doesn't already exist, perhaps you can create it. You know, some people do nothing but complain about their work. Others love what they do and would likely do it, or at least as a hobby, even if they didn't get paid. Solomon, in the book of Ecclesiastes, recognized this. The talents and passions God bestows on us is His gift to us. What we do with them is our gift back to Him. But if the job we want to do and get paid for doesn't exist, then if we wish to be truly content with our labor, we may have to create that job. That is the point that Napoleon Hill makes in his chapter on organized planning. If you want to succeed in business, you will need to get organized, and that means selecting the business structure that is best suited to what you want to do. So let's take some time in this particular session to begin to look at those types of business structures that most small businesses consider when they're first starting out. Our learning objectives in this particular module are as follows. First, we want to consider business startup circumstances. We also want to look at the different types of business organizations that exist. Third, we want to look at tax comparisons of the sole proprietor, a limited liability corporation, and a subchapter S corporation. Additionally, we want to begin to consider the types of tax forms that you would need for each of these business types if you were to choose that for the organizational structure for your business. Before we consider the type of business structure, perhaps we should spend a moment looking at the three different ways that a business might actually get started. The first we'll consider is the new startup, what I'll call a new birth. In this situation, the business is totally brand new. You start with no brand recognition, no customers, nothing. Essentially, you have the opportunity to shape your business the way that you want and to follow your dreams. A second way to start up a business is to buy an existing business. We'll simply call this a rebirth. Now, perhaps it's the situation with the business that you're purchasing that for whatever reason the owner didn't know how to manage it. Or perhaps they did very well and they've managed it for a number of years and now they're looking to sell a successful business and you're purchasing it. Or anything in between where situations have occurred where the owner has to sell the business. Whatever that might be, now you have an opportunity to come in to that existing business and to give it a rebirth. You inherit any current customers, suppliers, employees, and brand name. Additionally, however, you also inherit any problems that existed under the previous ownership. And so, for good or ill, your community knows you now based on what the previous owner's experience has been. And it's up to you to really give that a makeover and a rebirth, especially if you're coming into a business that perhaps has some issues and some baggage. A third way that a business is launched is what I'll refer to as the clone option. This is where you open a franchise and you clone your business based on the practices of whatever the franchise is that you're buying into. Most franchise operations provide startup help and they have a turnkey solution and they offer best practices for their new franchisees. You inherit the brand recognition of that given franchise. You can benefit by any national or regional advertising that the franchise operates. However, you may give up flexibility to modify business practices and procedures, and you may become locked into certain monthly expenditures to maintain your franchise trademark and agreements. So be careful about what you're getting out of the franchise in exchange for the freedom of mobility and flexibility that you perhaps give up by making that choice. The best thing to do is to know what you want out of the business before diving in, so that you can see good in all your labor, to quote Solomon. Choose something you're passionate about, and choose a product or service that you know something about, rather than getting into a business where you have absolutely no clue about what you're doing. What we'd like to suggest right now is that you stop the video and take a few minutes to digest what we've said. What are your thoughts on these three types of business startups: newborn, reborn, and clone? For the business that you want to start, which of these three options seems best to you and why? Discuss this with your friends, family, coworkers, with your mastermind group.